It was just past midnight in New York City, and the city that never sleeps was unusually quiet outside Selena's apartment window. She had returned home late from a dinner with friends, still dressed in her smart and stylish evening gown. The glitter of the party was still on her, yet inside her spacious apartment she felt the weight of loneliness. She slipped off her heels, set her phone on the side table, and was about to prepare for bed when she suddenly froze. A sharp, deliberate knock echoed from her front door, breaking the silence. Selena's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't expecting anyone. Her building was secure, with cameras, guards, and locked elevators. At this hour, no one ever came knocking. She stood motionless for a moment, listening to the stillness that followed. Her mind raced. Was it a neighbor in trouble, or someone who had the wrong apartment? The knock had been clear, firm, not hesitant at all. With her pulse quickening, she hesitated by the bedroom door, trying to decide whether she should check or pretend she hadn't heard it. Finally, gathering her courage, Selena walked slowly through the dimly lit hallway toward the front door. The polished hardwood floor creaked slightly under her steps, and each sound seemed magnified in the midnight stillness. She reached for the switch and turned on the warm yellow light of the entryway. Her reflection in the decorative mirror caught her eye, still beautiful, her hair slightly messy but her figure elegant in the sleek dress. She tried to steady her breathing, telling herself it might just be a delivery left at the wrong door. The knock didn't come again, and the silence outside grew heavier. Selena's fingers hovered over the doorknob, her nerves trembling. She leaned closer to the peephole and squinted through it, but the hallway outside looked completely empty. No one stood there. The faint hum of the elevator at the end of the corridor was the only sound she could make out. Her hand grew clammy on the metal knob. A shiver ran down her spine, but her curiosity wouldn't let her walk away. Slowly, cautiously, she turned the lock and cracked the door open. At first glance, there was nothing. No figure lurking, no neighbor waiting, not even the sound of footsteps fading down the hallway. Selena opened the door wider, her eyes darting side to side, searching for any sign of movement. That's when her gaze fell downward, and her breath caught in surprise. Right there on the floor, resting against her welcome mat, was a small woven basket. Her eyes widened as she leaned closer. Inside, a tiny puppy, no more than a few weeks old, trembled under a thin cloth, its wide eyes staring up at her. The shock softened into concern instantly. Selena bent down, her elegant dress brushing the doorframe as she carefully lifted the basket into her arms. The puppy whimpered softly, shivering from the cold drafts of the hallway. It was heartbreakingly fragile, with fur damp and messy, as though it had been left outside for hours. Selena gasped as she noticed a folded piece of paper tucked beneath the puppy's blanket. Her fingers shook as she pulled it out and unfolded the note, reading the few words scribbled in hurried handwriting, "Please take care of me." Her heart clenched as she read it again. Someone had abandoned this little creature on her doorstep, and they had chosen her, whether by chance or intention, to find it. Questions spun in her mind. Who would leave such a helpless puppy alone in the middle of the night? Why her apartment, on the 12th floor, behind 2 security doors and an elevator? Nothing made sense. And yet, as she held the tiny animal in her arms, Selena felt something awaken inside her, a deep pull of compassion and responsibility that she couldn't ignore. She carried the basket inside, shutting the door quickly behind her and sliding the lock back into place. The tension of fear was still there, a shadow clinging to her, but now mixed with urgency for the little life she cradled. She rushed to the couch and set the basket down carefully. The puppy whined and curled against her hand when she touched it. She stroked its damp fur gently, whispering words of comfort. Her apartment, once filled with cold silence, suddenly felt warmer, alive with this fragile presence depending on her kindness. Selena found herself pacing the living room, the note still in her hand, her mind torn between mystery and compassion. She glanced toward the door every few seconds, half expecting another knock, half fearing someone might return to claim the strange delivery. Shadows from the city lights outside flickered across her walls, making her imagination race. Still, every time she looked back at the puppy, the mystery faded under the weight of her growing resolve. Fear was real, yes, but kindness was stronger. She couldn't abandon the little creature as someone else had. The city outside continued its silent hum, unaware of the strange midnight moment unfolding in Selena's life. What had begun as a chilling knock at an unholy hour now became a turning point in her heart. The beautiful young woman, dressed as though she belonged at glamorous parties, now found herself kneeling on the carpet, wrapping a trembling puppy in her soft scarf. She had no idea why this had happened to her, or who had left the basket, but in that instant, she knew one thing for certain. She would not let it suffer alone again. Selena held the tiny puppy close, feeling its trembling body against her chest. The soft warmth of its fur contrasted sharply with the icy fear that still lingered from the strange knock. She couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her, though the hallway was empty. Shadows danced on the walls from the streetlights outside, and each flicker made her heart pound faster. She wrapped the puppy tightly in her scarf and carried it to the couch, determined to provide safety and warmth. Every instinct screamed caution, yet compassion outweighed her fear in that moment. The little animal looked up at her with eyes that seemed to plead for protection. Selena knelt on the floor and gently stroked its fur, whispering reassurances she barely felt herself believing. She checked the note again, tracing the hurried handwriting with her finger. Someone had left it here deliberately, she realized, and for some reason they had chosen her. The thought sent a shiver down her spine, but also ignited a strange determination. Whatever mystery awaited outside, this small creature depended on her entirely. She would not let it down. A sudden noise from the elevator made Selena jump. The faint hum grew louder, then stopped abruptly. She froze, clutching the puppy to her chest. The shadows in the hallway seemed to shift unnaturally. Her imagination ran wild. Was it the person who left the basket, coming back to reclaim it? Fear clawed at her, but she reminded herself that she was capable, strong, and aware. She moved the puppy closer to her, scanning every corner of the room, every reflection in the mirror. Even in terror, her mind worked fast, weighing every possibility. Selena wrapped the puppy in a soft blanket and placed it gently on the sofa. The little one relaxed slightly under her care, trusting her in ways humans often did not. She fetched a small bowl from the kitchen and filled it with water, placing it beside the basket. The puppy sniffed it cautiously, then lapped eagerly. Watching it, Selena felt an odd sense of satisfaction mingled with anxiety. Whoever had left this gift, or test, at her door had triggered something deep inside her, a call to kindness even in the dead of night. Her thoughts drifted back to the note. Please take care of me. Simple words, yet loaded with urgency and silent desperation. Who could abandon such a helpless creature, and why choose her? The more she considered it, the more she realized that this encounter was not random. It was almost as if fate had knocked on her door, challenging her to act. Selena's fingers traced the edges of the paper. She decided silently that she would accept that challenge, no matter the mystery surrounding it. The night stretched on, but Selena could not sleep. Every creak of her apartment, every hum from the city outside, felt amplified. She sat on the couch, holding the puppy in her lap, feeling the steady rhythm of its tiny heartbeat against her own. It comforted her, calmed the anxiety gnawing at the edges of her mind. The shadows on the walls seemed less frightening now, replaced by a sense of purpose. She had a responsibility, a life to protect, and for once, fear seemed secondary to the warmth of caring. She decided to call animal services the next morning, but in the meantime, she would take full responsibility. She wrapped the puppy in another soft scarf and placed it on a small cushion she had brought from her bedroom. Its little body curled up, trusting her completely. Selena watched with a mix of fascination and tenderness. Even in the midst of fear, even under the strange and thrilling circumstances, she realized that her act of kindness could make all the difference. This small life depended on her courage. Time seemed to slow as Selena settled on the couch, watching the puppy drift into a light sleep. Every sound outside her apartment made her jump slightly, reminding her of the earlier suspense. Yet, in that mixture of fear and relief, she felt an unexpected exhilaration. She had faced something strange, unknown, and slightly terrifying, and had chosen compassion over self-preservation. The city outside continued its silent hum, oblivious to the tiny act of bravery and kindness that had just unfolded within her apartment. Hours passed, and the night slowly gave way to dawn. The first golden rays of sunlight filtered through her curtains, illuminating the small basket on the couch. The puppy stirred, stretching its tiny legs and letting out a soft yawn. Selena smiled, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. The fear, suspense, and thrill of the night had transformed into warmth, gratitude, and quiet pride. She had turned an eerie midnight encounter into an act of love, proving that courage and kindness could thrive even in the most unexpected circumstances. Selena realized that the knock at midnight, the empty hallway, the abandoned puppy, it had all been a strange and thrilling test. But she had passed, not through brute force, but through empathy and action. The little creature nestled against her, trusting her entirely. And in that moment, she understood something profound: kindness had power. It could turn fear into courage, mystery into purpose, and strangers into unexpected blessings. What began as a suspenseful, frightening night had become an unforgettable story of love, trust, and selfless care.